Hi everyone, this is Christian from the Stone Eye, and you're watching Beyond the Pale, Episode 2.
Yes!
Once again, this is the show where I analyze the music of the Stone Eye while teaching you some music theory in the process. So sit back, relax, and praise Xenu, because it's about to get crazy. So today we'll be looking at the self-titled track off of our 2018 release, Kevlar, Kryptonite, Gloria. For this song, we'll just be looking at one section, the chorus. So let's check it out. So this section off the bat features some pretty interesting musical techniques. One technique is called voice leading, which is featured in the rhythm guitar. Basically, voice leading is a term to describe how different lines of music relate to each other when played at the same time. The way to effectively create voice leading is not always clear, as different schools of thought have different methods for how to execute the technique. But here are some quick tips for how to get started with voice leading. So if we have two lines of music, one providing a bass line, and the other providing a melody, the first way we can make these two parts sound independent yet cohesive is if we incorporate a lot of stepwise motion, meaning that we move from one note to a note directly above or below it. If we aren't moving by stepwise motion, then we would want to try our best to move either by thirds, sixths, or sometimes fourths and fifths. But you'll see in this example, I'm almost entirely moving with stepwise motion, or jumping by thirds. Also, the intervals between both lines are effective when using primarily thirds, sixths, and octaves. So let's take a look at the guitar part for the chorus and see what's going on here. So if we condense the part, we'll see that it uses almost entirely stepwise motion, with a few jumps to a third. The majority of the intervals between the two parts are thirds and sixths, but we do have 1/5, which is fine, and a fourth at the beginning, which is sometimes seen as a dissonance. But in this case, that dissonance is almost welcome, because it transitions nicely to the next interval through stepwise motion. This is only the tip of the iceberg as far as what you can actually do with voice leading, but I hope this gives you a better idea of how to understand musical scenarios such as this. And go on, try it for yourself, see what happens. The second technique I want to focus on in this section is something called an odd meter. An odd meter is when you have both an even grouping of beats and an odd grouping of beats in one measure, which ultimately adds up to an odd number. So instead of 4/4, you might have 5/4, 7/8, 11/8, and so on. So the meter in this section is actually 17/8. You could also describe it in different ways, but that's how I like to describe it because I'm compensating for my low self-esteem. Remember how I said an odd meter basically meant alternating between an odd and even number of beats? Well, the way that you can count the number of beats in this section is by alternating between groups of 3 and 4 beats that ultimately add up to 17. So let's do that right now. Congratulations, you just counted in 17/8. So writing in odd time signatures may seem intimidating, but it's really just a different way to feel music. When I started writing music, I really didn't have any sense of rhythm. I still don't. But because of that, I began writing music in odd meters because it felt natural and free. In the words of Frank Zappa, people don't talk in 4/4. So it can really be based on your own intuition more than anything else. Here's Stephen Burdick, the songwriter behind a Kevlar, Kryptonite, Gloria, to talk about his experience writing in odd meters.
Hey guys, Steve here. So my experience with odd time signatures, it's a long one. Like most musicians, I started off jamming, in 4/4, jamming the songs that I listen to. To be fair, I do listen to a lot of music that has odd time signatures, but regardless though, I'd never been in a situation where I'd have to apply them to my own music or whatnot. It started off, I guess in large part because our drummer Jeremiah, him and I would jam like 7-8 years ago. He'd playing like 7/4 and I'd have to adapt to, his beat. And from there it's like, oh look, I wrote a riff that's in 7/4, And how I write music in odd time signatures, it's more so just a feel thing. You know, once you become accustomed to jamming and whatnot, and then you kind of progress your skills in writing music, it kind of just comes naturally. You know, if you sat me down and say write a riff in 5/4, I probably wouldn't be able to do it, or at least I'd be able to do it, but it wouldn't sound good. It's more so like, okay, like I wrote this one thing in 4, and help me like add a piece, take away a piece, add a little chord here and there. And, you know, and it slowly progresses into something that's unique. And I guess that's how I approach my music. You know, it's not necessarily about writing, you know, something that's like specifically like, okay, we need something 7/4 here, 5/4 here, whatever. It's more so writing a song, writing a riff that complements the song and, you know, sounds cool. And to me at this point in my life, you know, I guess things that aren't in 4/4 sound cool. So that's kind of how I do it. So, yeah.
So that's all for today. Hope you enjoyed, stay safe, and try some of this stuff out for yourself. Have some fun. Alright, later.